So Jurassic World Rebirth has now hit cinemas, and I know the reviews themselves are quite confusing, because some people are saying it's the best film since Jurassic Park, and some people are saying don't watch it, it's absolutely terrible. So I'm here, a long-standing Jurassic fan of 3 decades. I make a living from Jurassic Park, and my entire channel is based on Jurassic Park 3s, so you can trust my review. And I'm going to give you an honest review. I haven't been sent out there to watch this early. I've watched it the same as you potentially on day one, and I'm going to give you my honest opinion. And immediately, I'd like to start by saying there is some great things in here, some great scenes, some lore, although it is a little bit confusing, which I'll get onto later, and some great setup for future movies. Now, I'm also going to caveat by saying some of the characters are completely forgettable. I think there was probably 1, maybe 2 characters for me which I really enjoyed and would like to see again. Other than that, I didn't feel any type of connection with the characters. But forget the characters, let's talk about the dinosaurs. There's multiple dinosaurs in here. There's even, believe it or not, a cameo of some type of river snake. Again, I'll talk about that later. But as you already know, this is the 7th installment of a Jurassic Park / World movie. And surely you'd think fatigue is setting in, so they decided they were gonna go back to basics. That's great. They bring in one of the original screenwriters, David Keop, and obviously the director Gareth Edwards, who's known for like Godzilla and Rogue One, I believe, or the Darth Vader spin-off. Now personally, don't really care for them because I'm here for Jurassic, but you can definitely see the influences there, and immediately I felt that influence in the Jurassic Park title screen. You know, where we have all our lab scene with the T-rexx and the T-rexx attack and things. Thought that was great. Thought the reveal was a little bit too early for me. I mean, we gotta see, you know, the dinosaur, etc. attack things. Look at the original Jurassic Park. We see the Velociraptor. But that's the thing, you don't see the Velociraptor. You basically see just like the jaw and an eye, where, remember where Muldoon's going, shoot her, shoot her? We see that, but we don't see an actual dinosaur till the Brachiosaurus, right? But in Rebirth, within the first 3 minutes, you've already seen the flagship / title dinosaur. And I don't mean like a little snippet with an eye or whatever it was. I mean the full-on animal. We literally see the head, we see the eye, we see the arms, and at that point, there's nothing left to the imagination. So at this point, I already know what the title dinosaur is going to look like. The issue here is, you spend the entire movie waiting for it to show up, and it does eventually show up for the last 10 minutes. But again, I will get onto that. Throughout the film, you do come across some great scenes. I mean, there's a scene for me which is probably the best in the movie, where they come across the Titanosaur. Now, they're obviously trying to hook into that nostalgia of the original Jurassic Park films. You know, where you see the Brachiosaurus for the first time, you've got scale footage, you know, as if you're looking up from below and you see it in the trees, what have you. They try and do that again with the Titanosaur, and it really works. I thought that was probably one of the best scenes. We have some great scenes with the Mosasaur, although in my opinion, stretched on way too long. And then we get to the mutants. Now, you think this movie is setting up mutants to be everywhere on the island, right? Well, it doesn't really do that. Now, caveat as well, I would like to say this is clearly a spoiler review. If you're looking for a spoiler-free one, this isn't it. I want to talk about Jurassic, and that's what hopefully you're here to watch. So this is your spoiler warning as such. So there are 2 mutants in there. Everyone's probably seen them from the trailer anyway. One is the Mutadon, which is basically a Velociraptor and Pteranodon hybrid. And the other one is that T-rexx. Now, they don't show up until probably the last 15 minutes of the film. And up until that point, it's just people traversing an island and traversing an ocean. I think they probably spent the same amount of time on the ocean as they did on the island, which is great because we got some great scenes with the Mosasaur, but I feel there was nowhere near enough time for the flagship dinosaur or the development of its character, if you can even say that. I mean, take Indominus Rex, for example. I know it's a controversial one, some people don't like World, but look at the Indominus Rex. They really build up that she's a hybrid monstrosity. We have the entire scene in the control room where Owen's like, that's no dinosaur, that's a monster, and all stuff like this, right? So when the T-rexx actually came out, I felt like the crew and cast, especially this paleontologist / museum guy, I thought he was going to say, oh my god, this is some type of mutant, or what is this? What have they been cooking up, blah, 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 blah. But there was none of that. It was literally, they saw this dinosaur, mutant, and it was perfectly normal. There was nothing like, what is that? Whoa, whoa. It was just, that was it. And after a few scenes, I mean literally a few scenes, the movie ends. and they're leaving the island, and that was basically the T-Rexx in a nutshell. I was like, what's happened here? The Mutadon, I thought, got more screen time than the T-Rexx. In fact, I think the T-Rexx, even though he's really only in one scene, probably had more screen time than the T-Rexx as well. Now, I'm not complaining about that, but it kind of felt like, you know, it was lacking something for me. The story was there. It was a very basic story, although they could have improved on that massively, by the way, and I did a video on that weeks ago because I kind of knew what the story was going to be. That's how predictable it was, but we could have improved on that massively, and we just didn't. It was kind of confusing at the start as well, especially for, you know, the casual Jurassic fan, because initially they say this was for the original park. So you think Jurassic Park, right? But the entire movie starts with a flashback scene, and it says like 12 years ago, which basically takes the date back to about 2010, because the movie's set in like 2027 or 2029, and the flashback is 12 years ago, taking it to 2010, so that wouldn't be Jurassic Park, right? That doesn't make sense. And to top it all off, the colorations we see on the island, I mean, there's a chase scene with the evil corporation man, kind of like Ludlow from The Lost World Jurassic Park, very similar to him, money orientated. And there's a scene where he gets into a car, which is got the same coloration as the Jurassic Park Jeeps, you know, the beige and red color, exactly like Jurassic Park, you know, so that's the coloration of Jurassic Park. Jurassic World was beige and blue. Jurassic Park was beige and red. They get into this Jeep, which is beige and red. You think, oh, this is Jurassic Park. But the Jeep is so highly advanced. It's got like unique guidance systems in there, AI talking to them about a pedestrian in front of them. And it's like, this is from Jurassic World, so why is it painted Jurassic Park colors? So that's me just being really heavy on the lore. Like I said, you know, I've been following Jurassic for 3 decades, 30 odd years plus. In terms of the movie itself, and I know what you guys really want to hear, is like, is it worth a watch as a Jurassic fan? Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. Will I go back and see it again? Depends on how much I'm going to pay, to being honest. You know, in terms of rating-wise, I'd probably give it a 5.56 out of 10, which to me is quite low. But for me, I think ranking-wise, definitely beats Dominion. Wasn't a big fan of Dominion at all. Fallen Kingdom, again, that wasn't a great movie. I'd probably put this on par with Jurassic Park 3. Now, it depends on where you rank Jurassic Park 3, so I'll give you my quick rankings. Obviously, Jurassic Park is number 1, without a doubt. It's up there. That you can watch that over and over again. If I'm sat in front of the TV and Jurassic Park's on, I will watch that all day long. Lost World Jurassic Park then is second. Jurassic World, number 3, because I actually liked Jurassic World. I thought it was a good movie, great pacing, suspense on the Indominus. We saw all the other animals as well. I'd then say Jurassic Park 3 as 4th, and then Rebirth as 5th, Fallen Kingdom 6th, and Dominion 7th. Unfortunately for me, it's probably, mid-tier at best. You know, there's a lot of gaps in there as well, and it's something I'm going to be covering later, because I've got loads of theories. That's basically what I do. I'm a theory crafter, so there's loads of theories going to come out on it, such as they kind of leave the T-Rexx on the island to be rediscovered later on, but that's a bit of a travesty, because we've had the T-Rexx now revealed, and all its majesty has kind of been lost. The suspense would be lost. So if they go back to this island, we know we're going to see this T-Rexx, so you haven't got the same suspense as this movie, which they kind of had their shot and blew it in a sense. They've kind of blown the suspense and reveal we could have had for the T-Rexx. We also have numerous characters in there, and I'm not going into specific details about who dies, when they die. There was a couple of deaths in there, a couple of gruesome deaths, which I was surprised at. Enjoyed seeing them. But in terms of someone who they could have killed off and they set up to kill off, they didn't. There was some times in there where I thought there was so much coincidental stuff happening, like, I wouldn't say plot armor as such, because it didn't seem like anyone really had plot armor, apart from the very end where that one guy who should have died didn't. There was a lot of coincidence in there going on, which kinda, I know we're talking about dinosaurs and a film which isn't real, but if I want to be grounded in the universe, to me, Jurassic Park felt like this could be real. This could be happening, right? You know, the scenarios were believable. There was no like superhuman person and all this type of stuff. It felt real. Rebirth, the world itself felt real, but the acts and the way things panned out in the film didn't feel real. There was various points where I'll give you 2 specific examples where, obviously, you've probably seen the river raft scene floating around on YouTube numerous times. I personally didn't watch any of the TV spots or anything like that because there was just so many of them and it ruined the movie. But you've probably seen the river raft scene. At the end of the river raft scene, the T-Rex kind of like attacks the raft and you see its teeth going in there, kind of reminiscent of the T-Rex smashing through the Jurassic Park 1 Jeep. It does exactly the same, but on top of a yellow dinghy raft. It attacks the raft goes flying off into the distance, and then all of a sudden, the cast go through a rocky outcrop and the T-Rex can't follow, right? But they're without their raft, so they can't go down this flipping river anymore because they got no raft. All of a sudden, the raft comes flying over the top of this gorge, clearly as if the T-Rex has picked it up and thrown it over there. I wouldn't say miles, but it was a good fair few distance away, and it just so happens to fly over the top of this rock and land directly in front of them, and they can get back on this boat. That was... At first I thought, ooh, that's, it could happen. It's a bit out there, but it could happen. And then later on, there's a scene where they've got like the DNA from the Quetzalcoatlus or whatever it is, and it's floating down through the canopy. Now, the guy, Dr. Lupin, had fallen down through the canopy, and he hit so many branches and trees, it actually broke his fall. That's how he survives dropping like 200 feet. He hits the trees, branches, drops his fall, falls into the water. And then all of a sudden, this DNA canister has been flung up into the air, like rocketed up, and then it's got a parachute coming down. Now you'd expect it to get hit by some branches, right? Miraculously, doesn't. It comes down 200 feet to the branches, which Lupin just hit, miraculously makes its way through all these branches, and lands directly in front of him, coincidentally, so he can pick it up and move on with the story. And it's like, oh, and then there was a few other instances there, but I'm not going to get into it. I'm just going to summarize now, guys. I think you should definitely go and watch it as a Jurassic Park fan. I wouldn't go in there expecting to be blown away or with loads of new concepts. They try and say it's a mutant and these mutant dinosaurs. The T-Rex kind of looks like a mutant with, like the bulbous head, and it looks like tumors. The Mutadon, however, I went in there with a few of my friends and my partner, and one of my friends actually believed that was an actual dinosaur. Take that as you will. A mutant to me should have like extra limbs and arms and things coming off it. The Mutadon just looked like a raptor crossed with a pteranodon hybrid, not a mutant. Definitely go and see it. I'd like to hear your guys' take on this as well, especially in the comments. What would you give it out of 10? Let me know in the comments below. Do you agree with what I've said? You might be thinking, well, I think it's the best thing since sliced bread, Shadows. It's a 10 out of 10 movie for me. But let's not be subjective. Let's look at this objectively. In my heart of hearts, I want every Jurassic Park and world film to be a 10 out of 10. But it just doesn't happen. A one and done, I think. Anyway, go and check out all my other theories on the channel, because plenty are going to be coming up on Rebirth, especially if you're a Jurassic fan. And if you haven't already subscribed, there's plenty of content on there for Jurassic fans. And if you come across the T-Rexx out in the open, could you dare get any worse? You bet Jurassic can. Catch you later.